But who these people were, these were the globalists. Now, this didn't just jump out of nowhere. After World War II, we went over this. If you go back into the history of the Professor Penn podcast, we spent a lot of time talking about, the Atlantic Charter and how President Roosevelt, in exchange for aid to the British, demanded that Churchill give up claim to empire. And, a new empire formed, the Pax Americana Empire, which even Kennedy spoke against. But something, really interesting happened during the Reagan period. The United States and Great Britain really grew close together. The Prime Minister of England at that time, Margaret Thatcher, was very Reagan-esque in her politics. And these two almost had what seemed to be a love affair. The two countries, the globalists, the globalists, the neocon globalists really came out into the limelight. They took their time on the stage. Please play number 14. Start around 121 and stop at 305, please. Here's a scene of President Reagan. He drove up in his own golf cart, walking out by himself. You don't see scenes like this anymore. He's walking up to the helicopter, and Margaret Thatcher's going to come out. And, he looks like a guy that's meeting his girlfriend at the airport. I remember when I was young, I'd go meet my girlfriend at the airport and waiting for her to come down the stairs, and I was so excited to see her, and it was such an emotional moment. And this evokes those kind of scenes. Oh, she's going to come. Her entourage is, there's the military, so smart and snappy, and he's standing there. He's dressed casual. He's so excited, and he's actually going to embrace the Prime Minister of Great Britain, of England. Oh, look at that. They're going to hug. Isn't that wonderful? Like a little bit of a love affair. And he's going to take her off by himself now. They're walking together. He's got his arm around her waist. It seems a little bit lovely, doesn't it? What a lovely relationship. The empire, Great Britain, home to the Darwinists, Charles Darwin, Spencer, not nice people. Social Darwinists. Galton, member of the Masons. The seat of all Masonry there in England. These people are not what we would call Americans. They're British. Preservers of the empire. Up there they go. Reagan's actually driving the golf cart himself. They're waving. Doesn't that look lovely? What a relationship. These are globalists. These are globalists that seem harmless and friendly and gentle. Look at them together, walking along the path together. Just the two of us. Just the two of us, building castles to the sky. Look at that. Wonderful. It's so beautiful. And, we've got these problems today that go all the way back into the Carter administration because these globalists have been at this for a long time. We were watching football. We weren't even paying attention. Play number 15, stop around 203. This is a great one. I bet you haven't seen this one before. Look at that. The Afghans are right in the White House. Holy smokes. "20 years later, we destroyed their country."
Well, we've just held a very useful, and I might say brief, but also I'll add a very moving discussion with Chairman Yunus Khalis of the Islamic Union of Mujahideen of Afghanistan and other members of his distinguished delegation. I expressed our nation's continued strong support for the resistance and our satisfaction with the large step the Afghan resistance took toward unity in choosing a chairman for the first time. This new political milestone demonstrates that the people of Afghanistan speak with one voice in their opposition to the Soviet invasion and occupation of their homeland. This increasing unity has already made itself felt on the battlefield. During the past 18 months, the Mujahideen fighting inside the country have improved their weapons, tactics, and coordination. The result has been a string of serious defeats for the Soviet elite units, as well as many divisions from the Kabul army. Chairman Collins and his delegation are visiting Washington following the November 10th UN General Assembly vote, which, with a record vote once again, called overwhelmingly for the withdrawal of all foreign troops from Afghanistan.
You got to look at that and go, wow, 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 wow. And how did those towers come down? How did this all happen? Where'd this money go? Who are these people in the White House? Because just 20 years later, they were giving aid and comfort to Osama bin Laden, another CIA asset, like Saddam Hussein was a CIA asset. You know, this globalist thing, you know, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. These people are all in business together. We're the dummies that pay for it with our taxes and with our compliance. They're playing a completely different game than what Professor Penn's playing, or I hope what you're playing. The game I'm playing is, you know, how do I get my kids raised healthy? How do I teach them about faith in God? How do I teach them to take care of themselves, to self-govern? Now, that's what I'm concerned about. These people are really off on a completely different track. Wow. You know, anybody who's a student of history and goes back and look at how Afghanistan today is ruled by the Taliban needs to go back and look at the Carter administration and the Reagan administration and the secret funding of a war against the Soviets, the Soviet Union, that'd be the Russians. Let's get that Soviet Union thing out of it. It obscures the truth. The Russian Empire invaded Afghanistan and took it over and installed a dictator under their control, a guy named Najibullah. And our CIA, our Central Intelligence Agency, identified a group of really tough people. I mean, these Afghans beat the British Empire 2 times. And they beat the Soviet Union, the Russians, and now they beat the Americans. These people are like the Vietnamese. They're tough as nails. They self-govern. These people live out in nature. I mean, there's no high-rises there over in Afghanistan. These people are goat herders, and in their spare time, they kill Americans. And guess who taught them how to do it? There it is, right there on the historical record, how this whole thing came about.